Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Force here with some more Hearthstone. Today we'll be taking a look at a legendary control shaman deck used by the North American legend King Skywing. The deck focuses on early game board control and winning with several high damage potential combos. We've got some early game control coming through cards like Forked Lightning and Lightning Storm, a few utility shaman cards like the Flametongue and Minion Totem, and then some potential combo finishers such as Leeroy Jenkins plus Windfury. Now with the general premise out of the way, let's take a look at the deck in action. Now the reason this is called the legendary control shaman deck is not just because it's used by a legend rank player, but because there's a lot of legendaries in the deck. Unfortunately, still, you know, I'm looking to eventually highlight some cheaper decks, but it's hard because there aren't a lot of cheaper decks that are competitive at higher ranks, and frankly, that's what this series is all about, showing you the high-end metagame decks. And this is one of them, so let's focus on what we've got here. Playing against a Druid right now, I expect him to be playing some level of control, so unfortunately that means a lot of my early game board cleary type spells aren't going to be super useful. He could have some mid-range stuff though, which something like Lightning Storm would be good against. But Lightning Bolt's still effective in this matchup because with spell power, that 4 damage against bigger creatures can be pretty effective. Oh gosh, there's Nat. Starting off, of course, he gets the card draw right away. Seeing a ton of these now, especially since Novice Engineer got nerfed. In fact, I myself am running Nat here in this deck. So we could do 3 to him to the face. Let's just go ahead and get this, and we're sort of hoping for spell power totem so that we can hit him for 4. That's probably what I'll be trying for next turn. We'll Totem a call in. If we get spell power, we can lightning bolt for 4. If not, then we're kind of screwed. I guess the safer play might be to just Feral Spirit. But he could also swipe one of them, and then I still can't kill it. Well, I could do that with that, actually. So maybe I'll Feral Spirit because that is safer. Unless I draw into a Bloodmage Thalnos, in which I can drop him down and then lightning bolts for 3. But we'll see what happens. He is going to Claw, killing off my totem, decreasing the likelihood of me getting. And he gets a second draw, man. Lucky opener with Nat. I swear, sometimes I'll be running Nat and get almost no draws. There have been games where I've gotten no draws off of Nat for several turns in a row. It's pretty horrendous. Okay, so we drop down the Bloodmage Thalnos for the sake of killing his Nat. This is obviously going to die. All he needs to do is shapeshift and attack into it. Unless he's got another turn 3 play that he wants to drop right now, like a Harvest Golem or a Loot Hoarder. I guess the Loot Hoarder would do the trick too. And then he plays another Claw, so there's his second, killing off our Bloodmage. Obviously, we still get the card draw for that though, which is nice. But yes, he is sitting now with the Loot Hoarder in play. And he got rid of our extra spell damage. This turn is going to be for Spirit Wolves. His potential play here will be an attack into here and then a shapeshift to finish it off, but we'll still be sitting with a 2-3 at that point. Next turn we will have 3 resource, allowing us to hex if need be, although I don't anticipate we will, unless we see some crazy innervate action. So yeah, the idea of this deck is early game control, and then late game, we've got some finishers. We are running Alexstraza in the deck. There's also the Windlord, that guy with, you know, haste and taunt and divine shield and everything. Really not that great, but gets a lot better when you couple him with Rockbiter Weapon. Running a single Windfury so we can do things like Leeroy Jenkins, Windfury, or even a Windfury and a Fire Elemental can be rather hilarious. And then yeah, early game control and utility spells. We got things like Hex. The Fire Elemental is just an obvious choice. It's super strong, really. And he is going to choose to shapeshift. Oh, the other thing I didn't think about they could have done is he could have attacked into this and then swiped this and would have killed both of those guys. And then with his final, he is going to Wrath to finish it off. So there you go, gets a full board clear there. And this turn I've got pretty much no plays really, so we will just be doing a totem call. Let's see what we get. End up getting the healing totem. I still yearn for the days when the healing totem healed your hero character as well. Those were the good old days. The good old days. Doomhammer, great board control, especially against a lot of the smaller early aggro to mid-range decks. This just can wreak complete havoc on them. Or even just a Doomhammer plus a Rockbiter Weapon. That can be 10 damage to the face there in one turn. Lots of potential, definitely lots of potential. Imagine Doomhammer with a double Rockbiter Weapon. Ooh, that's rather scary. What is that? That's 6, 7, 8. That's 16 damage in one turn. You can drop, wow, that's crazy. You can drop that. So if you do like a turn 4 coin into Doomhammer, and then the next turn double Rockbiter Weapon, that's some crazy potential damage. And that's one of the fun things about playing Shaman, is just when you can get off some crazy Windfury combos with stuff like that, it can be rather hilarious. Okay, so still waiting on our opponent, No Fear, to do something. Actually, very long turn for him, surprising because it's turn 5. And I don't anticipate he's got a heck of a lot to think about. Looks like he will be going with the 4/6 taunt. It's actually interesting because as much as I'd love to, I can't play this obviously. I'd love to play this, but the 3 damage doesn't get us very far. I think we actually have to hex that thing. Makes me kind of sad, but it is what it is. Get that. Do I want to use anything? The next turn will be 7, so I could Lightning Bolt. I just don't see much of a purpose behind that. No reason to use my Rockbiter Weapon at this point. There are certain games where I will use Rockbiter Weapon early if I'm playing against a Priest that's dropped an Urshar Cleric, if I'm playing against a Mage that's dropped a Mana Worm. Those are instances where the Rockbiter can be very effective, or even just, you know, playing against a Harvest Golem. Rockbitering to kill the first iteration and then using an extra 1 damage through a spell or something, or a small, maybe your 1/1 totem to finish off the second iteration can work very well. Not a lot of early game creatures in this deck. There is the Bloodmage Thalnos, but we do have the Flametongue Totems, which allow us to pump up our base totems, and actually that's where some of my early game minion to minion removal ends up happening. Where we've got a couple totems in play, we drop a Flametongue, and then we can pick off some smaller creatures of the opponent. Again, taking quite a long time. I'm terribly surprised he's going to do the 2 damage with that. Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. So this turn we could Fire Elemental him. I don't even know about that play though. Could also drop this. Trying to think about how I want to do this. Could Fire Elemental and then Lightning Bolt him so he doesn't do 2 damage to the Fire Elemental. But then that also puts us on Overload, which means we can't drop him next turn. So maybe I don't want to do that. That puts us on Overload too. So I actually think I don't want to do either one of those. I could just play him to get the body in play though.
I wonder.
Sure, let's do that. If he wants to throw a spell at this, or a small spell plus an attack, I guess that's okay. But I don't want to do, either one of those. So just use that for the 3 damage and see what he ends up doing in response. And you know, frankly, if he Starfalls it, well, that's pretty much his turn. He might do that into Shapeshift, but then that would be about it. So we'll have to see. Could also Starfall across the board to clear this, and then attack and Shapeshift. That's actually, if I were him and I had a Starfall, that's probably what I would do. He's gonna swipe it directly. Okay. And then he can Shapeshift into it, saving his 2/1 creature. Yes, that will do the trick. And then he's able to attack into that guy. Wow, that makes me really sad actually. Alright, I'm trying to think, man. I guess we'll just Doomhammer this turn. I mean, I want to play him with a Rockbiter Weapon, so I think we're going to be waiting to do that. So I'm going to Doomhammer. We're also going to go with Manatide Totem for the card draw. Let's get rid of his 2 creatures. And we're gonna get some card draw. So we're a couple of turns away from being able to the Windlord, but that's okay. Great combo here with Leeroy Jenkins plus a Lightning Storm. Just think about that. Very, very good. You end up clearing what he gets. Of course. Of course. Acidic Swamp Ooze comes and takes out my Doomhammer. Well, at least I put it to some use. Wasn't completely useless. That would have made me incredibly sad if it ended up being totally useless. And he's gonna throw the swipe at the Manatide Totem, not surprising at all, to be honest with you. Manatide Totem. Don't really want that to stay in play for too many turns. Just the opponent gets such a huge card advantage, so. Alright, this is a good play. Yeah, I think so. And do this, get rid of his little creature. And then we just pass the turn. So we do have the potential this turn coming up to do the Windlord with a Rockbiter Weapon, which is a 12 damage hit. And we'll also have that extra mana to Lightning Bolt something if need be. Let's see what he's got. Could be some pretty big plays this turn, though.
What to do?
Some big crazy minion. A Ragnar's would hurt. What would hurt a lot right now is if he dropped a Rag and it killed my Fire Elemental. That'd actually be... I would prefer his Rag to hit me in the face at this point, because I've got other ways to kill Rag and I can still get my combo off. So here's a Cenarius. And with that, he's going to get two 2/2 taunts in play. So maybe I'm just Lightning Storming this turn, and I'm not doing my my initial plan. Let me think. 4.
I wonder.
Could do a lot of damage this turn. And I think we will. You guys ready for this? Do the damage across the board. Then we go Rockbiter Weapon and Windfury. So that's 18 damage from him. And then we've got 6 from Leeroy, bringing him down to 5. That is the sort of crazy potential combos that I'm talking about with this deck. It's actually pretty absurd. So he has to remove both my creatures this turn, which he's fully capable of doing. We do have potential Lightning Bolt damage, and then of course we do have Overload 2, but we can still play Al'Akir the Windlord. This means we can still potentially deal 6 damage to him in an upcoming turn. So let's see what he's got here. If he plays a big daunting creature, oh, there's going to be a heal for himself, okay. And another heal. All right, so we have got 12 damage that we can do to him right now. I mean, sometimes I'm contemplating not hitting him in the face, but I don't really think. I think getting him down to 1 is sort of what we have to do. So, again, because we have the Lightning Bolt, so unless he gets another big heal this turn, the Lightning Bolt will kill him, even if he shapeshifts. So just pushing straight for his face at this point and ignoring his creatures. I know that gives him the ability to pick and choose what he removes, but so say this turn he does this and this, he's still got the 6/2. So he's 100% focused on removing my board, and if that means that he doesn't heal up, then we can win with the Lightning Bolt. So let's see what happens. Okay, so he's gonna. What's he gonna do? He's gonna. Okay, so he realizes the game is over and he just throws it. Fair enough. All right, guys. Well, that's a look at a game with the Legendary Control Shaman deck. Let's go ahead and wrap up by taking a look at the deck list. The Legendary Control Shaman deck used by North American legend King Skywing, starting off with 2 of the Earth Shocks. If you're running a Shaman deck, you pretty much should always have 2 of these. The Silence is the biggest thing, the 1 damage, also a nice benefit. Forked Lightning, just a single one of these for 2 damage to 2 random enemies. I see why he only plays 1, because there are many occasions where you've got a Forked Lightning in hand, but there's only 1 enemy creature in play, and you can't play it. There needs to be 2 in play. So it can in a lot of occasions it can be a dead card. So just running 1 makes sense to me. If you're worried about a lot of aggro, a lot of swarm decks, then maybe throw a second one in there. But he's just running with 1, and I like that. We've got the Lightning Bolt, 2 of those, 3 damage plus any spell power that we're running in the deck, or the totems can be 4 or 5 damage potentially. We've got the Rockbiter Weapon. Again, you can't go wrong with this with our Windfury minions, with Doomhammer for early game removal. It's a great play. A single Stormforge Axe for early removal. We've got the Windfury, allowing you to drop that on a creature that doesn't have it for some massive potential damage. Windfuried Fire Elemental, for example, with a Rockbiter Weapon. Yeah, it's a good play. We've got the Bloodmage Thalnos for the extra spell power. Again, now that we're not seeing a lot of Novice Engineers, you're seeing a lot more Bloodmage Thalnos from Nat Pagle, because these are just better alternatives to the Novice Engineer at this point. Flametongue Totem, in conjunction with your base totems, can allow for some strong damage, or Flametongue Totem with Feral Spirit. So turn 3 Feral Spirit, next turn you've got 2 mana, drop down a Flametongue, you're hitting pretty hard. We've got the Hex for big threat removal, Lightning Storm for mass damage, Manatide Totem card draw, obviously great. Tinkmaster Overspark, just a great card for dealing with big threats. Leeroy Jenkins for the burst damage, Doomhammer for removal or burst damage, the Azure Drake for drawing cards, and it's a nice 4/4 body, plus the spell damage power. And then we've got the Fire Elementals, again, pretty strong Shaman card, and then 2 big plays with the Windlord as well as Alexstraza. Alexstraza used both defensively and offensively depending on the situation, and the Windlord by himself, not the greatest, but with a Rockbiter Weapon he becomes that much more effective. All right guys, that's gonna do it here. Thanks so much for watching this deck spotlight of the legendary control Shaman deck. Stay tuned for a gameplay video coming up tomorrow. I'll play a couple of games and see how this deck does. If you like the content, please subscribe, keep watching, and keep owning.